18 past 7. Well, this time next week, a former Premier will be in the witness box at ICAC, Gladys Berejiklian. The Independent Commission Against Corruption is looking into her dealings with her former boyfriend, Daryl Maguire, and whether their relationship influenced a $5.5 million grant in his electorate of Wagga Wagga. Gladys Berejiklian has questions to answer, but there are also major concerns over the way ICAC operates. Whatever you think of Gladys Berejiklian, there's something about this process that is grossly unfair. And on the line is someone who knows this firsthand. Remember the infamous bottle of wine? The former Premier Barry O'Farrell was forced to resign in 2014 after he failed to recall a gift he'd received. It was a $3,000 bottle of Penfolds Grange. The wine was gifted by the Sydney lawyer Nick DiGirolamo. His world collapsed after he was named corrupt by ICAC. It took him 3 years to finally clear his name. However, his name still appears on the ICAC website, claiming he acted with the intention of evading the election funding laws. Nick DiGirolamo is on the line right now. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, Ben. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, I guess this brings back plenty of bad memories.
Look, it does, Ben. You know, I think the starting position for someone like me is you look at your family, and I come from a proud Italian migrant family. You know, at the core of our ethos is honesty and integrity, and you know, reputation is of paramount importance, and you work really, really hard to build up a reputation, and it can collapse really, really quickly if you are named, you know, in an ICAC inquiry. You
were the chairman of the West Tigers at one stage, chairman of the Italian Chamber of Commerce, a lawyer. But all of a sudden, when ICAC pointed the finger at you, what was the response in the community? Did you feel like people were looking at you?
You feel like a leper. You do feel ostracised. Within 1 hour of the public inquiry being announced, I got a phone call from a young man from the Treasurer's office. At the time, I was on a board of a state-owned corporation. The young man said to me, "Nick, the Treasurer would like to thank you for your hard work and your services, but accepts your resignation." And, you know, 3 years later, when I was cleared, as you correctly point out, I didn't get the phone call saying, "Nick, would you like to come back?" And I think that's the problem. That's the problem with this model, Ben.
Why did you give the bottle of Penfolds Grange to Barry O'Farrell?
Simple reason. Gift. It was a 1959 bottle of Grange because, you know, Barry was born in 1959. I thought it was a nice gesture at that point in time. You know, the Liberal Party had been in 16 long winters in opposition, and I was no doubt that I was a Liberal Party man, and I thought it'd be a nice gift.
He went down because he failed to remember that gift. Why were you adversely named?
Well, if I can just go to your first point first. There was never a suggestion, never an allegation of any corruption between former Premier Barry O'Farrell and myself or the organisation in which I worked at, Australian Water Holdings. This seemed to just be a collateral damage, something that seemed to come up when, you know, the inquiry wasn't pointing to any corruption in relation to myself, and I'd been pretty badly dealt with. I mean, I'd been called a shyster, a fraudster, a whole host of grotesque names, and, you know, that's really, really hard to take.
When you cleared your name 3 years later, did you expect that ICAC would correct the record or clarify the record?
I think what I expected, Ben, was some form of accountability. You know, I mean, you know, if counsel assistant, you know, makes grotesque remarks or grotesque allegations against someone, at the end of 3 years, in relation to each and every allegation, the conclusion is no evidence. Well, then I can't even but think, what evidence was there to start the investigation? You know,
and now and forever, when someone Googles your name, this stuff pops up.
Well, that's the problem, Ben. You can't, unless, and there is a parliamentary committee at the moment looking into reputational damage, but unless you know, you are able to expunge the record, the Google search. That's the problem. The Google search in this day and age, the days where news was fish and chip wrapper is gone, you know, because of the Google search. So that's what I think needs to happen. You need to have the ability to expunge that kind of record.
And you now join a growing list of people who've been named and shamed at ICAC and later cleared of wrongdoing. Murray Keir, the former SES Commissioner, the former Crown Prosecutor Margaret Cunneen, the former Police Minister Mike Gallagher, just to name a few. What advice would you give to Gladys Berejiklian as she gets ready to go to ICAC next week?
Oh, look, that's a hard question, Ben. I think, I just say breathe and take it one step at a time. I mean, at the end of the day, all you want as a citizen of a democracy of New South Wales is to be equal before the law. And my concern is this model, voids that democratic right. I think that's the problem.
Well, we've got to look at the way South Australia does it when they hear these things behind closed doors, and unproven allegations have no place in the public space. But ICAC does it all out in the open. And by the time you've cleared your name, it's too late anyway, because your reputation has been smashed to pieces. Nick, we appreciate you coming on the program this morning. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll see what happens to Gladys Berejiklian next week.
Thanks for giving me a voice, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Nick DiGirolamo. And the problem for Gladys Berejiklian is this. If she gets to the end of the ICAC process and she's not found to have done anything wrong, the damage is already done.